Hello there, everybody. This is Julia, and today I would like to talk about Robocop. Both versions of Robocop, the original 1987 version and the upcoming 2014 version, which is coming out in February in a couple months. Okay, so first I'd like to talk about the trailer for the 2014 version. Um, when I first saw the trailer for the new RoboCop. I actually think it looks like it'll be pretty good. It seems like it has decent action. It has decent acting. Samuel L. Jackson and Michael Keaton. Um, I don't really know anything about Joel Kinnaman. I think is how you say his last name. I'm not sure. The guy who's going to play RoboCop in the new version. I don't really know anything about him. I've never really heard of him before, so I can't really judge his acting because I've never really seen him in anything. Um, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm all for remakes as long as they're done well, and as long as they handle the story as close to the original as they can. If they want to change it up a little bit, that's fine. But like basically, I think storylines, like that should be, not changed too much for remakes and whatnot. And some thoughts on the new version. Um, in the 87 version, the original, it was set in New Detroit, which is kind of like a futuristic kind of version of Detroit, Michigan. And in the new version, I can't recall that it even says like what year it is or the location because obviously it's in the future, um, but it doesn't really specify like where the story is taking place or anything like that I can recall. It's been a while since I've seen the trailer, but anyway. And another thing that kind of bothered me about the trailer, well, one thing that bothered me about the trailer is um, Alex Murphy's death. Um, it seemed to me like in the new version he's going to die from a car bomb. Like he goes out to check on his car because the alarm goes off, and then a car bomb goes off like right in his front yard, and that's how he um, dies and becomes RoboCop. And in the original version, um, Alex Murphy was killed by drug dealers, by Clarence Boddicker and his gang, and it was a very brutal death scene. Um, and it kind of bothered me how they like changed the his death so drastically because you know in the original he became RoboCop. It was not an accident. I don't want to say accident, but like a car bomb like that just makes it seem like somebody planned ahead of time to kill him, you know like for the whole RoboCop thing. Like nobody like I don't really know how to explain it, but I just don't like the whole idea of Murphy dying by car bomb. I don't know. That just kind of bothered me. Um, okay, moving on from that. The RoboCop suits. Um, the original 87 suit. It's so iconic. You can't go wrong with it. And the new version, I like. I do actually like the new look of the new suit. It's a lot sleeker, more. Um, it's not as bulky and awkward as the original. Well, not awkward, but it seemed like it was hard to move around in. Like Peter Weller, the original actor that played RoboCop, it seemed like his movements were like very restricted in the big bulky suit. And the new one is more you know I don't really know how to say it, but it seems like it opts for better movement. more fluid, natural movement, um, and I kind of have mixed feelings about the whole making the suit black, because it seems like in certain clips in the trailers they made the suit colored a lot more like the original, with like mainly silverish, with like just a little bit of black on the um, chest and stuff. And then they make it black later for whatever reason. Um, and I kind of have mixed feelings about the whole changing the suit color to black, because it kind of looks cool, but then again it's like, you shouldn't probably really mess with something as iconic as, you know, Robocop's look. But I do kind of like the red light on his visor thing. That's kind of cool. I don't really hate it, but I think they could have. I think if they would have just kept it the way it looked in some clips, like where it looks more like the original, I think that would have probably worked a lot better. But um, yeah. And as far as the casting of the new movie goes, um, let me see. Um, this Joel Kinnaman guy, I don't really know much about him, and so, I can't judge because, well, Peter Weller is always going to be Robocop. No matter who else ever plays Robocop again, he's always Robocop to me. Because I remember the third movie they had a different actor play him, and it really it just, I didn't like that. I saw all three. It's been like a long time, but I saw all three, and I don't know. It's like he was RoboCop in the first two, and then in the third movie, it's just suddenly a different guy, and I don't know. It's not the same. It's not the same if it's not Peter Weller as RoboCop. And but I'm willing to give this new guy a chance. I've never heard of him. I've never seen him really act in anything other than the little bits in the trailer. But that's not really much to judge someone on their acting, in my opinion. So I'm willing to give him a bit of a chance. Uh, Michael Keaton. I'm such a huge Michael Keaton fangirl. Like, oh my gosh. So I was kind of excited to see that he was going to be in this. Um, Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman's always good. Jackie Earl Haley. I saw him in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. That's the only thing I've really seen him in. Um, all the other people, Samuel L. Jackson, of course, can't go wrong with him. And some of the other people, I've never really heard of them, and so I can't really judge them either on their act. Not judge, but like I can't really decide on if they're good actors or not, in my opinion, because I've never really seen them act. And that leads me into my next question, which is, it seems like they have different names for the characters. I was looking at the cast list for the new version, and it seems like Alex Murphy's name is the only name that they kept, because all these other names I don't recognize at all. They're like all different. And I'm not sure, I don't know who's supposed to be who. Like, I'm not sure. I don't know why they changed all the names except for Alex Murphy. I mean, if they're going to keep his name, why didn't they just keep all the other characters' names too? Because, I am a fan of the original, and if I go into the new one, I might get a little confused about, whose character is who because they have a different name or whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid. But yeah, I didn't really like that either. The whole, changing every the name of every character except for Alex Murphy. Well, I guess you couldn't really change his name because people would probably like be in an uproar about that or something. But anyway, um, okay, so I'd like to talk a little more about Peter Weller as RoboCop versus Joel Kinnaman as RoboCop. Um, I'm like I said, I'm willing to give this new guy a chance. He doesn't seem to be that bad of an actor from the little tiny bits that I've seen. It seems like he'll do a pretty good job, but I don't think he'll ever be as good as Peter Weller, because, no one is. Because he's always going to be Robocop to me, no matter who else might play him. But I'm willing to give the new guy a chance, because from what I've seen, like I said, from what I've seen, he does alright. I'm going to have to wait till I see the whole movie before I can, decide whether I think he played Murphy good or not. Um, but he looks kind of promising. So, I'm willing to give him a chance. And also, the whole thing about Robocop's humanity, um, that was a big issue in the first movie because when he first became Robocop, he was not aware of his humanity. He thought that he was a cyborg and that was it. He didn't know of his past as a human being, as Alex Murphy, and that came on gradually. And he eventually became to identify himself as Murphy again. And in the new version, it seems to me like right away he's aware that he is Alex Murphy, and that they have done something to him, um, as far as making him into RoboCop goes. And it seems to me like he's just, after he's already RoboCop, he's just has a little too much humanity at the beginning. I know that kind of probably sounds bad, but in the original, the humanity became gradual in RoboCop, and it seems like in the new one, I mean, it might, it seems like he might already have it right from the get-go. As soon as he's RoboCop, he's already aware of, his past, and he already has all of his memories and whatnot. And that leads me to talk about Murphy's family. You don't really see much of them in the original. For those of you who've seen it, you know what I mean. But they're in like mainly like flashbacks. I can't remember if it was the second one or the third one, but he does meet his wife again for like a brief time. But other than that, they're not really like in the story much. It's mainly about Murphy, and but in the new one, it seems to me like they're going to have a more central part in the story somehow, because they're like in the trailer quite a bit, and it shows Murphy, like with his son and everything as RoboCop already, and it just got me thinking, if they're going to have some sort of if he's going to somehow reconcile with his family, you know, or because in the original, he knew that he couldn't be with them anymore, as RoboCop, so he just kind of, let them move on and, have another new life without him. And in the new one, it seems like it's undetermined by the trailers, as far as the trailer goes, whether or not, he'll stay distant from them, or if he'll, remain with his family or anything like that. And I didn't see any mention in the trailer of Robocop's prime directives, like in the original. And they touched a bit briefly on the whole, he thinks he's in control, but he really isn't, which was sort of like that hidden fourth directive in the original. But they didn't actually mention like any of the three directives that he had in the original one. So I don't really know if they're gonna do that in the new one or not. I would be surprised if they left that part out, because that was kind of central to the original story. So I don't really know how they can make a story center with without that. And another one more thing I wanted to touch up on really quick was Ed 209. Um, I had to admit, I thought the original Ed 209 was kind of silly looking. Not silly looking, but like the way it moved, it was just kind of funny to me. Like when it fell down the stairs in that one scene near the end, and it was like flailing around trying to get back up, like a turtle or whatever that flips over and it can't get back up, or like a roach or something that can't get up. I don't know. That scene always made me laugh, and I know those things are supposed to be like really intimidating and stuff, but I don't know. Ed 209 was just kind of like, I don't know. I never really took it seriously. Well, I did, but at the same time, I was like, I could tell that it was just a fake stop motion, you know, um, not puppet, but you know what I mean. And the new one actually I really am liking the look of the new Ed 209. I do really like the color. They made it like a tannish brown looking color with like, the red LED like on RoboCop, the new RoboCop.